Welcome to Therapist Take. We're going to talk about clinical wisdom versus. Did I say that wrong already?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
did.
I can't do it.
A clinical insight.
What is it, Carrie?
Clinical insight versus internet wisdom.
All right, we'll try that again.
Yeah, take it from the top.
Welcome to Therapist Take. We're going to talk about clinical insight versus. God, I can't remember.
That was right. No, that was the good one. Yeah.
Clinical insight versus internet wisdom. All right.
All right.
This is like when we used to do those videos, the short form videos.
Yes.
All right, welcome to Therapist Take. We're going to talk about clinical insight versus internet wisdom when it comes to relationship advice, so don't go anywhere. Hi, Carrie.
Hi, Josh.
Got that part right.
Whew, thank goodness.
I was major ADHD mind there. I could not get it.
It was just leaving you. But you eventually got a third take.
I think because I knew I had to get it.
Well, yeah, the pressure.
Yeah. And then it's like that self-fulfilled prophecy of like, don't switch them, don't switch them. And then you switch them. You can't do it. So anyways, it's good seeing you this morning.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah. So we originally had a guest to come on and talk to us on the series that we're doing on the power of stories and storytelling. Pause. Sorry, I'm pausing so till people can stop talking and leave. This will get cut out of the audio.
Yes. Good.
version.
Good. Okay.
All right, there we go. All right. So for people who don't know, we have a fully functioning therapy office here.
Yes.
And sometimes they forget we do a podcast at this time on Fridays. But we had a guest scheduled for today, and he was not able to make it. It was on the series that we're doing on stories, or the healing power of stories and storytelling. And we have a really cool lineup coming up. So I really would encourage people to tune in for that. When we have Marty Ludlam coming, who's an author, Jim Perkin, who is a director of and founder of the Bedford Community Theater, and Aaron Cook, who is an actor, screenwriter, and producer, and she's got a movie that's in production right now. So, anyways, it'll be a really cool series. But for now, it's just me and you and Xander.
And Xander.
How you doing, Xander?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good. And so we're doing something a little different today.
Yep.
We're going out of our comfort zone a little bit per the encouragement of Xander. So appreciate you spearheading this. Please don't lead us astray. It's already kind of going south a little bit. I couldn't get the intro down, and then we were interrupted.
It'll only go up from here.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a good point.
Yeah. But we do need to do a bit of a disclaimer to say that this is we're going to talk about some and react to relationship advice. We have no clue what Xander's going to present to us. He has not shared that with us. But we want people to know that the things that we say is not therapy. It's just clinical insight, as the intro stated, and based on very limited information, we're going to respond to that.
Right.
And so, to start off with, let me just introduce ourselves. My name is Josh Nichols, and I'm one of the hosts of Therapist Take with my co-host Carrie Kiger. We're both licensed marriage and family therapists and certified sex addiction therapists, and we have some other trainings or whatnot. But we do operate primarily in the podcast is not our bread and butter.
No.
Let's just say that.
No.
We own and operate a private practice here in Oklahoma City, along with our colleague Xander, who is also a licensed marriage and family therapist as well.
That's
so
right. Yep.
and he's working our cameras and asking our questions today.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
appreciate you, man.
Yeah, of course.
All right, so
I guess lay it on.
are we going to just want to dive right in?
Yeah, I mean, I've cooked up some devious
Oh,
plots for
great.
you guys
Okay.
to explore.
Great.
All right, let's
So
get it.
this is real stuff apparently from the internet, because everything on the internet is real and true.
Right, for sure.
That people have posted online. So I've just gone through and picked some that were interesting, and so I'm going to read them out, and then I have some questions after as well. But I'm just interested to know how you guys feel as we go through them, what kind of comes up for you and stuff like that.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll start with this one. So a few days ago, my husband of 19 years came to me telling me he wanted us to sit down and talk, as he needed to come clean that he has been having an affair for the past 6 months. He arranged with his mother to have the kids for the night so we could talk in private. When I arrived home around 6:45, he was sat in the living room alone, waiting and looking very nervous and quite frankly ill, which makes sense. I was immediately concerned for him and asked where the children were. He couldn't meet my gaze, reached out for my hands, sat down again, and quietly announced that he was so sorry and he never meant for this to happen, but he had cheated on me. So, of course, initially there's this awful situation where you come home, you don't know what's going on, your husband looks ill, and your kids are gone. So there's kind of frightening immediately. So she demands where the children are. Eventually he says they're with his mother. He asked her to calm down and explain himself. And so she snapped. I mean, do you guys hear this often? Calm down. It's fine. Well, I wouldn't recommend it.
Is that your reaction?
Yeah, that's how I feel.
Do you want to start right there?
If you have any thoughts, there's more. But
Well, I thought a good idea in thinking about that is to maybe reflect on some things that went well, just based on that limited, or what went right, I guess. And finding out, as hard as it is for the partner to discover this in any way, shape, or form, it is better when the other person comes clean about it versus the partner discovering it and catching them because that's one less thing they have to deal with, because the partners that find out on their own, they have to deal with this idea that I don't know if they ever would have told me if I hadn't have found out.
I only got safe because I found it.
Yeah. So something convicted this person to say, I need to do this. Right. And I thought that was
And I think having
highlight,
the time and the space and not the kids there, that's also good, because
Yeah.
trying to discover this and try to contain it or whatever is, again, just trying to keep energy in a bottle. So
it was very intentional with telling her, making sure the kids are taken care of and arranging all that, and just coming clean, I thought was all good.
yeah,
I think that he probably should have told her, the kids, I'm having your mom watch the kids tonight.
right.
first.
Right. You probably should have let in with that.
Right.
Or
Put her
is that who
mind at
was watching
ease.
the kids? The mom?
Grandma,
His mom,
yeah.
Yeah. Just so, because you're right, one thing we've often talked about when it comes to betrayal is when in the form of infidelity or sexual infidelity, is that it's got to be one of the most overwhelming
Right.
relational experiences for a partner to have, when they learn that. And so in a moment's time, her world just come crashing down. She's going to want to know where her kids are.
Yes.
Right? I would think most partners would probably deal with that. And then, of course, I agree with you on the
Calm down.
calm down. If that, this is coming from one side, right?
Sure.
But any version of your overreacting
Yeah.
is not gonna.
Not going to go well.
It's not only not gonna go well. It's also not reality.
No. No.
Like if there's any situation calls for an
Freak
quote unquote overreaction or a
Right.
freak out,
Yeah. It's
this would
one.
be it.
Yeah.
I would say, as long as no one's was physically in danger,
Right.
it'd be hard to say it's an overreaction.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I want to caveat that there could be some other reasons too, but
Right.
as I'm kind of just going off the top of my head here.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And she does admit, she says that she admittedly snapped when he said, calm down. She said, how could he expect me to calm down after he lets me know this and then has broken our vows? So she got upset. He is trying to calm her down and let me talk. She was so full of emotions that she walked outside and sat in her car. And then she was crying for a while, thinking about the marriage and the children. What will happen now? Does this mean divorce, couples counseling? Can I forgive him? And the biggest question of why. Why did he cheat? Who is she? And then this is a big one that really hit me when I read it. Why is she better than me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you guys feel like you hear those kinds of questions a lot?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I don't think you can avoid it.
Yeah, and
Right.
I think probably when you hear Carrie and I going, yeah, because it's not, we're not doing that because it's true. We're doing it because it's just that happens to everybody.
It's a painful.
Yeah,
So
such-
painful.
Right.
Right.
I do. So the thing I would react to on that is that all those questions are normal. Almost everybody has them.
Yes.
Who goes through this. Whatever you think whatever your imagination is telling you the answer is to those questions is probably not the
Right.
answer to them. So like if it's saying, like that, why is she better than me? The answer is in the question, right? Like your imagination is suggesting to you that
You're
this
not.
happened because you weren't good enough and someone else was, and
Right.
that's just not what it is. Much more complicated than that. I know it's probably hard to hear that. It's hard to accept that,
Yeah.
right? If it's fresh,
Sure.
So like if you're listening to this and this has happened to you and you're hearing me talk about it, it'd be very hard to accept what I'm saying right now. Yeah.
Right. Right.
That's normal.
It is normal, and I think that it reflects the pain that you're feeling. Right. It's kind of that quote that's often true, but it's definitely true after moments of discovery of your head is a very dangerous place to be. Right. And so I'm sure it's
Right.
because I'm not enough in the following ways.
Yeah.
And then also believing, and therefore I'll never be okay again. And I can never feel safe again. And how, all those kind
Sure.
of things that come with it. And while your head is a very dangerous place, you kind of have to have that extreme reaction. I think part of our job a lot of times is just to say, of course, you feel that, think that, struggle
Right.
with that, right? Because it feels like somebody just really did decide to take your life and totally turn it upside down.
Sure.
And it's almost easier to believe it's got to be something about your deficits than a stroke of bad luck, right?
Right,
Or something
yeah.
like that.
Yeah, I mean, as much as we don't, when we're kids and our world is centered on us, like we don't completely grow out of that, especially I think in times of crises. And so it's the first thing everybody does is wonder what they did
Yeah.
in some way, shape, or form. Like, either or maybe not what I did or just who I am,
Right.
things like that.
Right.
So that's
Right.
all normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's easy for it to become a character, defect. Instead of,
Sure.
Yeah.
so about an hour later, after she'd been in the car for some time, she came back to try and talk about it again. He tried to lead her back up to their bedroom to talk about it, and she said, absolutely not. We're talking about it right here, or he can leave for the evening. So they sat down, and he said that he had been having an affair for about 6 months, and had been secret messaging at first, and then things escalated, and then a night whenever she was out of town, they slept together for the first time, him and his affair partner. She believes that they've been intimate regularly since. And then he said that the affair partner's name was Emily. The names have all been changed. And then he said it was James's Emily. James is their 18-year-old son, and Emily is his ex-girlfriend about 2 months ago. So the affair partner was their son's ex-girlfriend at the time.
Yeah. I'm wondering, like, if you're watching this, like, you're probably not seeing Carrie and I react very strongly to that because
We hear
Your therapist.
this happens. I mean, we've heard, it's not just about being therapists. Like, we've encountered these types of
stories, yeah.
situations where they know the person. It's the kid's girlfriend. It's
The neighbor, it's the sister-in-law.
I mean, this is, people typically have affairs with people they know and meet, and so and then there's definitely a group that likes to have anonymous sex, and so
Right.
they're less likely to have an affair or cheat with somebody that they know. But then there's a large population of people who are cheating with people they know, and they've met in their circle. So what was the very first part of? I mean, I got fixated there on the fact that it was the girlfriend of the kid.
Yeah. She was crying for a bit in her car, came back in. He said,
Okay.
let's go upstairs. And she said, no, I want to stay down here.
Okay.
This thing started out secret and then escalated while she was gone out of town.
Yeah. I have. Do you have any thoughts? Sorry. Do you have any thoughts about the it being a family member. I mean, someone that they knew that it was, and too, it's extra sinister, right? Because it's the kid's ex-girlfriend. Like, just adds.
Yeah, I think it makes, again, not to try and make things more or less, because pain is
Yeah.
pain. I really, there's my therapeutic statement, but the risk and the judgment and the pain, now the son has been brought into this in a way that is even different than if you just found out one of your parents was, struggling with infidelity, right? And so it obviously would also, like, I could imagine that if I was sitting with a client, that she would be saying his judgment, look how bad his judgment is in
Yeah.
so many ways, right? And so
Sure.
the possibility and the prospect of trusting him to make good decisions just feels even further away, because that's a real messy mess,
Yeah.
right?
Right, and I'm assuming that we're talking about adult children here.
18,
Yeah.
they said 18.
It's at 18?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so that's alarming in a little bit
Yes,
there.
it is.
That I know, like, when you get removed from it, you say, oh, they're 18. So it's like, I mean, that's awfully young.
It's young, and it's still it was the peer of your child.
Well,
you know what
yeah.
I mean? So
Right.
it
It kind of makes you wonder when it started, though, too.
Sure.
Like, did it start before? And those would be normal questions
absolutely
to ask. And that's another issue, right? But yes, it does add another layer of complexity that makes it difficult for the relationship to continue. You know, it doesn't mean it can't. It just adds a layer of complexity because, as you said, like it brings the kid into it, and then all the questions about when did this start? Are you
Yeah.
attracted to minors
Right.
and things
Right.
like that? So
right.
for sure.
So
I do have a question that I was thinking about as it was kind of hitting me before that piece of information came out. In thinking about like what advice would I give somebody who is planning on telling their partner, and so like we talked about at the beginning, a lot of things that he did was good. Would it be appropriate for him to reach out to a really close friend of hers or someone she really trusts and say, not to disclose to them first, but to say, I'm about to have a very hard conversation and she's likely going to need you, and to make sure someone is available to her?
Yeah.
Because like it's just like, bam, here's all this information, and now who is there to take care of her?
I mean, yes and no, right? I think one of to your question, I think obviously you can't heal alone, right? I mean, you're going to need people that are steady and loving through the storm. But I also think that it takes away power of choice, right?
Yeah.
And she is obviously, again, her world is now not her own. And trying to slowly rebuild and heal means starting to feel like you get to consent to what happens next, and you get to make decisions and lead
Right.
the charge. And so if he's already told somebody something, even something as vague as
She might
something
need
bad,
you.
I mean,
Yeah.
come on, we all think those things, right?
Right.
And so I think there's a risk in that, because goodness gracious, one of the most important things for betrayed partners is to start to feel like that they have agency, right?
Yeah, 100%.
yeah, I guess just thinking about that, if I was receiving this information, if I was her, and I went to my friend and then found out that they knew something
Yeah.
first,
Yeah.
even if later on I realized that they didn't know it
All the
totally,
way, yeah.
I think it would be really hard for me to get past initially.
Yeah.
I might feel betrayed by them in a way too,
Yes.
just in my confusion and
Yes.
chaos of it all.
I think it also it in talking about it, it's like it does feel a little bit manipulative and gaslighty.
Well,
a
and you
little
have to
bit.
remember too that your perception of
Yeah.
your partner's friendships are also off.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean,
who do I think?
Well, it's
yeah, who do I think would be good for
Right.
you? I mean, who the
Right.
hell
Right.
do you think you are? Kind of,
Exactly.
you know,
Right,
especially
right.
after all this.
yeah. I think
Right.
there's I do think like there's some kudos that can be given out, not by the partner, but as a clinician,
Right, not by the partner.
to somebody that is willing to confess, willing to it's almost like maybe he did talk to somebody or something that said like, hey, get the kids
Right.
somewhere,
Right.
plant, be intentional with it. But if you're overkilling on it, it just looks like you're trying to make yourself look like not that you're not a good person, but trying to make yourself, to accent your goodness.
Yeah.
And look how good,
I
I'm
did
the
it
best
right.
disclosure
Right.
ever.
And that's not that would
You
still
know.
be a facade.
Right.
That would still be a part that you're trying to
Yeah.
manage your partner's reaction.
100%, yeah.
There's a difference between trying to manage, control your partner's reaction and respect
Yeah.
your partner's reaction.
Yeah. So our
Right.
consensus would be, all three of us are kind of in agreement that don't bring anybody else into it. Go ahead and disclose and let them decide who's going to care for them. But I think it's okay to say like, what do you need right now?
Yeah, yeah.
And even like, do you need to a friend? You need me to leave? You need me to get a hotel room? You need you need me to call somebody for
Yeah.
you? But don't have that pre-planned. I would say,
Designated.
yeah.
Yeah.
So she just finds out about this, that the affair partner is their son's ex-girlfriend, and so she's understandably very upset. She shouts for him to leave, and so earlier Josh, you'd mentioned like something has caused him to make this disclosure, right? And like whatever it is, it's good that he's bringing it up instead of her finding out about it. Well, this is the reason why he's bringing it up. He says, the reason why he was coming clean to me now was that Emily had confided in him 2 weeks ago that she was pregnant, but she was unsure as to who the father is, whether it was him or their son.
Yep, that definitely complicates it a little more.
Yeah, that makes it harder.
Again, it's not necessarily something we haven't encountered before in the last. How long have we been doing betrayal trauma? Since 2013, probably, since we kind of really honed in on that and made that our specialty.
I think so.
So yeah, it's been, wow, I can't believe it's been that long, 13 years. And we've encountered those types of situations and even worse, and I mean, I don't really have a response or a reaction to it other than that.
Well, now,
Yeah,
I mean, I
so.
think, again, it just, as a clinician, I'm always listening for where is the point of intervention. And I don't even mean intervention in like a let's tackle this kind of way, but where are the points of help? Where are the points of support and mending? And, now that there's a pregnancy, okay, we're going to have to address that. There's a sense of urgency, right, around this, because now we have to talk to her, to the son, and it delays her grief and requires some action on her part, when what we would want and what our nervous system kind of wants to do in those moments is, have your trauma response, fight, flight, freeze, fawn, whatever. And you kind of have to put it away and to use IFS language, let your manager and your firefighter just kind of run the show for a little bit, which is not ideal, right? Because I think, and again, in a perfect world, you kind of let that stuff rise to the surface and that wave crest and then start working from there. And she unfortunately doesn't really get to do that.
Right. Just for clarity's sake, too, the manager and firefighter is language that's used to describe certain parts of us, parts that manage our vulnerabilities, and the firefighters jump in and manage crises.
Crisis.
Yeah, and so just so anybody wondering about that. Yeah.
But yeah, you can't really process through trauma when you're in the midst of it.
Yeah.
And there's just, this is ongoing
Right.
now.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
So, understandably upset. He says he hadn't planned or wanted any of this. He didn't initiate the relationship. He tried not to get close with her, but he just wasn't strong enough mentally, and it just happened.
Yeah, that's not going to help.
No.
It's not true. So,
But it's a normal.
it's a normal thought process.
yeah.
Again, if we were there helping them manage it, it'd be the place that you talk about in your therapy room, but you don't bring that to the partner.
Yeah, it's coming from a place of trying to manage her pain.
Yes.
And his own.
Yes,
For
both.
that fact, of that sounds like a great story. Like, oh, it just happened. There's no, but it's much more complicated than that. It's a very, painful experience and a lot of moving pieces now.
Yeah.
With it being the ex-girlfriend of the son, and now the group, there's a pregnancy, and whether or not, despite whose kid it is, that kid's going to be in her life forever. Because if this
It's a
person
family
decides
member.
to have the baby, you're right, because it's either going to be a grandchild or the child of my partner that now I have
Sibling
to
to
right.
your
And so either
children.
way, that child becomes a representation of something that happened, right? And that
Yes.
adds another layer of complexity to
Right.
it. So
Right.
Yeah.
there are no easy answers
No.
here. I know. I mean, if people listening to this, if you're, like, what do I do? The best thing I can say is get help. Go find a
Yes.
therapist now, because this is a very, very complicated situation. So,
I don't think you can fully heal as the acting out partner in this case can't fully heal without taking full responsibility and accountability
Sure.
for his part in it. And of course, trust won't be rebuilt either if there isn't that full accountability
Yeah.
and openness.
Yeah.
So basically, she kind of leaves for the night. She feels very kind of sick that he would blame so she's 19, to blame a 19-year-old for this. And really, at the point of writing this, nothing had really been resolved. And so what I'm interested to talk to you guys about is, how do you feel about this disclosure or this confession? Does it feel authentic? Does it feel like kind of his loss of control? He had no choice. He had to share. And how does that impact their kind of prognosis when it comes to rebuilding trust?
I think he had to talk about it at some point, but I still think he did, because we've worked with a lot of people that still wait until, the absolute last moment, or it's revealed. It's completely unavoidable. So
yeah.
I think it is that, like Josh said when we started, there were some things in there that I think, like, as far as D-Day, which is what people usually refer to as Discovery Day, that the fact that the kids weren't there and that he initiated is still helpful. I think, though, as he discloses, it does become, there are more secrets, there are more wounded people along the way,
Right.
and so the fact that it crescendoed, that's painful too. It's not necessarily staggered in the textbook way, right? When we talk about staggered disclosure, usually it's someone confesses one part and then some time passes and they kind of have to confess the next part, et cetera, et cetera. And staggered disclosures are usually harder to heal from than a one-time disclosure event. And so it's not technically a staggered disclosure, but in some ways it kind of feels that way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think because it's betrayal layered on betrayal, because there's at least 3 in there now.
Yeah.
There's the betrayal, just the sexual betrayal in general, and then the betrayal of of acting out with our kid's ex-girlfriend, and then now there's a potential baby. I mean, there's a pregnancy involved.
Yeah.
It does. When you disclose because you're backed up against the wall, like it starts to feel a little bit less like conviction and more like I'm caught. I still think it's better that he disclosed instead of her discovering. But at the same time, when your back's against the wall and it feels like you have no other options.
Right.
Like, I better just go ahead and say it. But the thing that the person who discloses needs to recognize is that you don't get brownie points for
Right.
For disclosing infidelity to your partner. So don't look to them to say, "Hey,
Atta
good job,
boy, atta
you,"
girl,
right?
yeah.
And so regardless, from their point of view, like, it's they're dealing with they don't have anything to compare it to like we do as clinicians, where we know, like, it's
Right.
it's adds a different layer of complexity when the partner just finds it versus when it's disclosed.
Right.
But
But yeah, I mean, like, that's a good point, and Carrie, I agree. Like, it feels like no other options here, but really they could have potentially kept the secret forever. Yeah, maybe I would assume it would have come out at some point because
Right.
it typically does. But him making the decision to do it here feels at this point, now is the best time.
Yeah.
Later is not. So, but then,
Well, he does have it sounds like there might be a little bit of a moral conviction in there, in that, is he going to be able to live? They could keep the secret and just say, this is the son's baby, and they create a pact together, so we're going to take this to our graves. But can I live my life not knowing if this is my grandchild or my child?
Yeah.
And so that's
yeah,
Yeah.
it would be hard to
possibly a
live with.
moral conviction there. Which I know is weird. He said, like, oh, you had a moral conviction? Where was
I
the
know.
moral
Where was
conviction?
that?
I
Right.
know.
But the reality is that people, the vast majority of people, from our experience anyways, that are committing
Right.
acts of infidelity aren't bad people. They are troubled people. And that's something they have to figure out, or they'll never have a healthy relationship. So,
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah.
She had mentioned that they, for the past couple days, as of writing this, had not told the kids, had been basically keeping everything normal. And so the question is really like, what's the cost of trying to keep things normal for the kids? And how would you go about bringing this to light with the family if this couple came into your office?
Well, I mean, it's very normal to try to keep it the same for the kids and the routine the same.
Yeah.
So I think they're doing something that's very almost instinctual, when you say, for most people. Because, I mean, as a parent, I think, even in your biology is the idea to protect your children. So if I protect you and, keeping things the same, the routine the same, then that's what I'm going to do. So I understand that. In the literature, talking about it with family is something that you do later. This one is a little different because there is an emergent decision choice that has to. So I would almost think about that. We don't really talk about telling the kids anything until they've dealt with, and spoke with and made decisions around the pregnancy, right? And so to me, that would be the family piece right now,
Yeah.
right? Because the reason the literature really encourages that to be something that you do down the road is you have to remember your thinking about how you made the decisions, right? Especially this guy made lots and lots of judgment errors. His thinking got him here. He's going to have to correct his thinking. And as he gets better and gets healthier, his thinking and his choices and his actions can get better. And so, again, just trying to judge it from how are we going to tell the kids, like how you would tell it today is going to be different than how you tell it down the road, right? And the same for the partner, right? They're changing because of this event.
Right.
And so how you feel and what you think right now isn't necessarily what it's going to be down the road. So I think I get that, because I think it's, again, when you're in crisis management, you're just trying to take care of the most, most urgent thing at the time.
Right. I think a lot of the literature, though, is also assuming children are small or living in the home still. And it sounds like these kids may not be, if they're 18, which I think makes it a little, in a lot of ways, makes it a little easier to not disclose to them. But as you said, there's a little bit of a different situation here. When your kids are at home, as much as you want to keep things normal, it's almost impossible to, because your world's been wrecked. And so there is conversations that can be had with your therapist about letting them know that you're going through something, that I started, I'm based upon developmental stage here, so I'm going to kind of pretend the kids are small here, but, mommy and daddy are, sometimes it's hard being a grown-up in the grown-up world, and you get stressed out and anxious, and you go and you see a brain doctor or whatever, however you want to say it. So we're going, and if you've noticed that, if you see me crying, or that it's okay, I can take care of me, and I see a doctor for that or something like that. But getting into the specifics of what has happened that has caused it, that should be deferred for a while, typically. When it's grown kids, it's a little easier to do that because they're not there to experience the changes that are happening.
Right.
But it still typically is deferred for a period of time until for the reasons that you said, Carrie. I don't know exactly when in this particular situation. We'd probably, early on, I'm assuming we'd have to start having, as therapists, if these were our clients, we'd have to start having a discussion about disclosing to the kids because of this situation.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's why getting, working with therapists that are specialized in this, like we are in betrayal trauma treatment or CSATs, certified sex addiction therapy, just certified sex addiction. If you see the CSAT label or credential on a therapist, it does stand for certified sex addiction therapist, but you don't have to be a sex addict for them to know what to do. They're kind of the whole model is kind of gravitating toward betrayal trauma. And sex addictions in that umbrella, but there's also, just chronic infidelity or a single event of infidelity. We typically know how to work with that. And then Xander, you're getting the training in the couples version of that model, right? They call it CBERT, right?
Yep.
CBRT.
Yeah, betrayal recovery therapy.
Yeah. So that's kind of where the field is going with it, I think. So.
Yeah.
Do you think we have time for one more question about
Sure.
this case?
Yeah.
So the question here is, if this couple were to come into your office, right, the writer of the post and her husband, what do you think you would address first, and what do you think you would not address first?
Let's talk about the not
Okay.
first. Like we're probably not going to get into the kind of the technical reasons for why things like this happen, or because the intellectual reasons,
Right.
because the partners just can't hear that, right? It would be irresponsible of us to do that, actually, because they are hurting and they need that pain seen and validated. So that'd probably be something I'd say we wouldn't do. Is there something else?
Yeah. No, I definitely I see that. Why did this happen is just a question for later. Not only because you won't get a good answer, but because we got other stuff we've got to do.
We would validate the question as,
Yes.
of course you want to know, and it's
on the
normal.
list. Right. But we're not going to do it right now. First, we got to get everybody safe.
Yeah.
We got to get reality, something that you guys can live in, right?
Right.
With the true demands that requires, right?
Yeah.
We probably would have to think about disclosure to the family member, if the son, and coordinating that, setting boundaries and expectations around how do you interact and communicate with the affair partner. Because this isn't one of those where you can just be like, no more, I'm cutting it off, right? Which is an easier, clean break. We have to create, clear expectations and a plan.
And that would be, those things that you're talking about are things unique to this particular case that we would have to get into fairly quickly, right? And generally speaking, we would probably, validate the partner's position of pain and that she's not crazy for feeling the way she's feeling. And I usually will go ahead and plant a seed of say, I know it's probably hard to believe right now, but it's not your fault.
Yeah.
And one thing I say is that we don't have the power to drive people to drinking. We don't have the power to drive people into the arms of other people. And then I usually try to, there's a finesse when you're working with the affair part. With the person, the unfaithful partner is what I was trying to say. In validating their humanity, basically that they're here because they're a good person, but at the same time, telling them they have to own this, that this, was their fault, basically, these decisions you made that caused a lot of pain, so there is a finesse to that because you don't want to invalidate the partner by doing that. And there are ways that we do that and can do that. And most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, that person is already there. They're already ready to own it.
If they're coming into our office,
Sure, not all the
Yeah,
time.
not all the
At that time, we get people come kicking and screaming, but
Yeah.
but there are ways that are unique. Carrie has her way, I have my way, but to kind of go off Carrie's point, like specifically to this case, very quickly we're gonna have to. We probably would just have time to introduce that as like something that's different about your guys' situation that we're gonna have to talk about fairly quickly is A, B, C, D,
Right.
and those things that you mentioned.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
do you think you'd split them up into individual therapy? And
Yes.
Yeah, I'm almost 100%.
Almost 100% of
on
the
this
time,
one.
but for
Yeah.
sure on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, something of this. Usually, when there's physical infidelity, we're doing individual. When the betrayal has not reached that point yet. So, like if it's pornography, secrets related to pornography, or exchanging, engaging through certain apps or something like that, it hasn't reached that level yet. Sometimes we still will do some encourage them to do some individual work early on, but sometimes not. It's that one's I'm a lot less uncertain on. But usually with this type of situation, we're at some early on we're going to be encouraging individual
Yes.
work.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about like a formal disclosure?
So, do you want to just tell people what a formal disclosure is real quickly?
Well, a formal disclosure or a therapeutic disclosure would be something that the clients would be working with their individual therapists. The person who is disclosing would write their document with the input and assistance of their therapist to make sure that things are factual, that things are not bent in a bias. And the betrayed partner would be able to identify the factual information that they want clarity on. And then they come in for that session with both the therapists present. It's an event that's not just about fact finding, it's also about an emotional and psychological experience.
Right.
I don't know in this case how much I would be encouraging that. Maybe, but there's so many things up in the air that almost feel like we got to take care of first. That's
The
just
first
my
thing
instinct.
you're right. I think you're right. Like we got to get them out of crisis mode. And like I said, there's betrayal, there's layers of betrayal here. And so therapeutic disclosure is kind of something that we start discussing when the dust has settled. And by the way, when the dust has settled does not mean you feel okay.
No.
It just means you're not.
The bomb's been dropped.
Right. Yeah. I always say like the tornado has passed,
Yeah.
but you're
It's a mess.
you're assessing the damage. But there's a lot of moving pieces. Yeah. So the disclosure is always something we present to
as
the
an
couple
option.
as an option, and they can choose whether to do it. And we talk about what the literature says, what the very little research that's been done on it, what it has said, our experience with it, and then they can make a decision about whether or not they
think it would be helpful.
yeah. And usually my encouragement to the unfaithful partner is to really let that be the decision solely on the partner. So
Betrayed
partner. So the betrayed partner says we're doing it, then I really
We're doing
encourage
it.
the other person to say, okay, we're going to do it. Yeah.
Let's get ready.
Yeah.
Let's get going.
But you got to get people through the crisis first. I think that's the consensus on doing that.
Yeah.
And we've done episodes on therapeutic disclosure, so I'll try to link those in the description or the show notes.
Good.
And there's been some other podcast episodes we've done that are related to disclosure that I'll also link for people that are listening.
Good.
So,
Sure.
yeah.
Well, I hope it was helpful.
Yeah, it's good
Off the
stuff.
cuff.
Yeah.
Off the cuff.
One post.
Yeah,
I
have 4 available.
Okay.
You
Wow.
know we are to
Should've
talk
known.
too long, Xander. Yeah.
But this content is, there's a lot of stuff online that, and so like
Yeah.
if this is interesting for people, to let us know in the
Yeah.
comments, and we can do this kind of thing again.
Sure.
Yeah. I would appreciate you doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you to us. Thank you to you and me, Carrie, for
Yeah,
being
you
good
and
sport
me.
about
Good
this.
Yeah.
sports. High
And
five.
facing
wasn't
our
that
own
bad.
anxiety with not
Right.
knowing
I
what
know,
is
not
going
being
to-
prepared.
Right.
Turns
yeah.
out you guys know what you're talking about.
got lucky.
I think he held this. He's like, now how can I trip them up?
Yeah.
Exactly.
But anybody who has found benefit in this podcast, listen in, or whether it's on YouTube or on the podcast platforms that you're listening to this, we really appreciate your support and ask you to continue to support us by subscribing to our channel or giving us a 5-star review or any type of button or something that's available on whatever platform you're listening on. It's usually there to help the algorithms so that the content that we create gets in front of more people. So we really appreciate you doing that. Don't forget to check out the show notes, as we will try to put helpful links in there so that these episodes that we do can be as helpful as possible. So